At 5 every morning, before the city stretched awake and before the sun painted the sidewalks gold, an elderly woman in a faded green vest pushed a rattling garbage cart through a quiet suburban neighborhood. Her back was bent, her hands gloved and cracked, her gray hair tucked under a fraying scarf. Most people barely noticed her. A few turned away. Fewer still offered a nod. What no one knew was that beneath the layers of worn clothes and carefully practiced silence was Jonathan Hale, real estate tycoon, philanthropist, and one of the wealthiest men in the state, who had chosen to disappear into invisibility for a single dangerous reason: to see the true heart of the woman his son had married. Jonathan had built his fortune from nothing, scrubbing floors and hauling trash himself as a young immigrant. Wealth never erased those memories, but age had sharpened his fears. His son, Michael, was kind but naive, and Michael's wife, Evelyn, lived surrounded by comfort Jonathan had earned. Polite, well-dressed, charitable in public, yet something unsettled Jonathan. Kindness, he believed, revealed itself not in spotlighted generosity, but in how one treated those who could offer nothing in return. So he devised a quiet test, one no one would know about, not even Michael. For 3 weeks, Jonathan would become Mrs. Green, the garbage collector assigned to Evelyn's street. The first few mornings passed with indifference. Doors stayed closed, curtains twitched, cars rolled past. Then on the 4th day, Evelyn stepped outside holding 2 cups of coffee. She hesitated when she saw the garbage woman, then walked over anyway. "It's cold," she said softly, extending 1 cup. "I hope this helps." Jonathan's heart thudded, but he kept his head low, murmuring thanks. That night, alone in his mansion, he replayed the moment, telling himself it was nothing, just manners. But kindness has a way of revealing itself again and again. On the 7th day, rain poured mercilessly. Jonathan slipped, trash spilling across the curb. Before he could gather it, Evelyn ran out, umbrella forgotten, kneeling in the rain to help. "You shouldn't be doing this alone," she said, her voice steady, her hands dirty and unbothered. Jonathan felt something loosen in his chest, a knot he hadn't realized he carried. Still, he wasn't convinced. True character, he believed, endured over time. The real test came unexpectedly. One morning Jonathan feigned weakness, clutching his chest and sinking onto the curb. Pain flashed through his body, not entirely fake this time. Age had limits. Evelyn's scream cut through the quiet street. She called 911, knelt beside him, and held his shaking hands until help arrived. "Stay with me," she whispered, tears streaking her face. "You matter, you matter." In that moment, as sirens wailed, Jonathan realized the test had already ended. But life had one more turn to offer. At the hospital, doctors stabilized him. Michael arrived, pale with fear, followed by Evelyn, who froze when she saw Jonathan's uncovered face. The disguise lay folded on a chair, silence pressed down like a weight. Jonathan braced himself, not for anger, but for disappointment in himself. Instead, Evelyn stepped forward, her eyes shining not with betrayal, but concern. "Why?" she asked quietly. Jonathan told the truth about his past, his fears, his test. His voice broke when he finished. "I needed to know," he said, ashamed, "if the woman my son loved would be kind when no one was watching." Evelyn took a long breath. Then she smiled, a sad, gentle smile, and held his hand. "You didn't need to test me," she said, "but I'm glad you let me see you." The emotional climax didn't arrive in anger or confrontation, but in forgiveness. Evelyn visited Jonathan every day during his recovery. She brought soup, told stories, and listened to his regrets. One afternoon, Jonathan confessed, "All my life, I believed wealth was proof of worth. You reminded me it's not." Tears slipped down his face, unhidden, unashamed. Evelyn hugged him, And in that embrace, something healed in them both. Weeks later, Jonathan hosted a family gathering. Friends, neighbors, even the sanitation workers from the district attended. Jonathan stood, steady but changed, and announced a new foundation, funded quietly, without fanfare, dedicated to supporting essential workers and their families. He credited no one publicly, but when he met Evelyn's eyes, they shared a knowing look. The story spread anyway, as stories like this do, not of a millionaire in disguise, but of a simple truth remembered. That compassion doesn't ask who someone is, only how they are treated, and that sometimes the greatest inheritance a family can receive isn't money, but the reminder that humanity, when chosen freely, has the power to transform us all.